Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is us again, Lost in Lorcana podcast. I'm your host, John Yanulis, and I know it's been a while. I mean, I have my co-host here, Mark Potter, as well. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to do the first podcast, and I'll take the blame for that because the day that we said we were going to be doing the recordings every week, I have had kind of like softball or just been busy on those days, and so it's my fault. But we're good now from this point on. My softball on Tuesdays is over, so either Mondays or Tuesdays I'll be able to record, and then the idea is to try to get these out every Wednesday, at latest Thursday. But I'm really gonna strive to just be as I want them to you guys to know the exact day of every week, so you know it's Wednesday. So that's the new episode, or if it ends up being Thursday, then it ends up being Thursday. But that's kind of what we're striving for, is to record either Monday, Tuesday, and have these out by Wednesday. And maybe in the future, if we decide to do live, it'll be easier that way, because then they'll just go straight to the channel if that's the case. But as of now, we're just doing pre-recordings just to make it a little easier. But anyway, how are you doing today so far, Mark?
I'm doing pretty good. I wouldn't say all John's blame here at all. Like, life happened. Just a lot of life stuff for both of us. I work more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah,
so
you have a rough
that.
schedule. You have a rough schedule. I mean, not for like this in particular, but like I can't imagine working the schedule that you have just in general, even without other things going on.
I mean, I appreciate it saying that. It's just, but going forward, like, we want to be consistent, and consistency is key. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to hear you're doing well as well. I know we've both been pretty busy, so let's get into it.
Yeah, so just getting straight into it, I kind of want to do a quick update just on myself. Like Mark said, he's pretty busy already on a regular basis with work as it is, and then I know you've had other things like anniversary stuff, and you can't make your wife mad and quit on anniversary for Lorcana. Sorry, hon, I know it's our anniversary, but there's a Lorcana local that I need to go to today. I don't think that pan out well.
Pretty chill. She's pretty chill about things like that. But,
sure.
If I try to make sure it's on the day, or like in that area that week as it is.
Right.
So
yeah.
And she obviously blew all the waters again, because she got me a really awesome gift. So
that's awesome.
I'm blessed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like my brother, same thing. His girlfriend, super awesome. Allows him to do these things. Because he obviously wants to spend a lot of time with her already, and she knows that he does make a lot of time for her, and makes sure that Lorcana doesn't completely consume him and ruins the relationship. So obviously, as long as you're working together, it can work. You can have a wife and Lorcana. Who said you can't?
Yeah, I mean, every relationship has, every person has hobbies. I mean, it's just that's what it is, and communication is key. Like, that's been married for 14 years. It's communication is key.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, so, but, yeah, so my point anyway, like, he's been relatively busy, so he hasn't been able to, in the last couple weeks, go to as many locals and events, but I have had the pleasure, I wish I had, I wish I wasn't single, but it's just what it is right now. So I have all the time in the world for Lorcana. Maybe at one of these events one day, maybe it'll be a Lorcana love story. Who knows?
That can happen. That 100% can happen.
Yeah. So, so I've been able to go to a couple events. We had a 1K event here in Illinois at a place called Top Cut. So if you're in the Illinois area, Top Cut, they generally have their Lorcana days on Fridays and Saturdays. So, if you're in the area and you're looking for something, and they price out really well. Right now, they're still giving a pack just for entry, but they price really, really well. They're very generous with their pricing, and sometimes to a fault, because then they're very low on pricing later on, but at least they're still giving something for Friday, Saturdays. But they held a really awesome 1K event. Everyone there did a great job running it. And yeah, so I didn't do so hot. So Mark and I have not discussed this at all. I don't think I told you at all how I did.
No, we were going to, but again, life, and we moved on.
Yeah. So to go over that briefly, I went 3-3. So doesn't sound horrible, but obviously not top 8. And what really happened? So to go over basically what I played. So first game I played Amber Sapphire, won that 2-0. Next I played Amber Ruby, which to this point no one has talked about at all. No videos are out. No discussion whatsoever on Amber Ruby. There's just somebody that I knew that I've played at other locals, and I was prepared to play Sapphire Amethyst because I think a week before, or maybe it was 2 weeks before, he had played Amethyst Sapphire. So I was playing as if that's what he was playing, and then all of a sudden pulls out Amber Ruby, which I think, funny enough too, like literally in between the first round and the second round, I told someone like, who would ever play Amber Ruby? That's just nuts. Something along those lines. And of course I go up against it, lose 2-0 to it. I just did the first, I can make excuses, but yeah, I really didn't expect the first round. And then the second round, I kind of got stuck where I didn't get good pool. Like I literally couldn't play anything until turn 3. It was either turn 3 or turn 4. And he had 2 Lilos. And he was just able to kind of build, and the Lilo stayed on forever because I didn't draw into an aerial in my mulligan, so I couldn't even use a grab your swords to kill it off early enough. By turn 3, I was able to play, Tink, but he already had 2 Lilos that have been questing up to that point, and whatever. It went on. He beat me 2-0 fair and square. Then went on to game 3. I think rounds 3 and 4, I just went back to back against Ruby Amethyst. And the deck I had, which was Amber Steel, like mid-range songs, just wasn't great. And I kind of want to go over how because after this event, I kind of completely switched up what I was doing. So I ended up winning the next 2 against an Amethyst Steel, and then I rounded out by beating, I think, like an Emerald Sapphire, I believe, something like that. I don't remember. Or I think I did beat a Ruby Amethyst. I don't know. But anyway, this really showed me that particular Amber Steel deck that was originally the big one, like the mid-range one, just ended up being, it's just too hard for me. I felt like I was just misdrawing a lot. I was drawing into a lot of the uninkables or like cards that I just didn't need against Ruby Amethyst. Like you don't need your damage cards really against them almost at all. And then it was hard for me to get enough ink on the board to actually play characters on the board, like enough characters, because a lot of the characters in that deck are 4 or 5. If you have the Tinks, they're 6 unless you shift them. Then the 7 drop Rockstar Stitch, and so it's hard to play multiple characters because you start drawing into the 5s and then you play one and then they have Maleficent. All right, cool. I guess I'm done. Or they have Elsa. So I completely switched up my deck. And I switched to kind of what you were playing more of, which was the aggro, like Rockstar mechanic. I didn't play Lanterns, but that was doing really, really, really well for me on Pixelborn. I've recently switched up my deck one last time, and I'm going to try that out there's a place that in Illinois that holds Tuesday events, and they're usually pretty big and a lot of outcomes. So I'm going to see how that goes. But yeah, so... kind of rough, Mark.
That's rough, buddy. That's super rough.
yeah. But I mean, I think that goes to show it's just like Amber Steel, and we're going to talk about this actually in a second. Amber Steel is still very clearly one of 2 decks that are very much above the rest. But there's so many different variants and different, like one deck might play Beast, one deck I saw plays like one of Maximus, and one other deck may play Aladdin's where the other one plays LeFou's, and this and that. It just goes to show like there's so many different variations and how much like they change. It's like you take these 2 decks and let's go over this actually. Let me just transition into this, and what we were going to talk about is like the Miami event. Let me pull that up here. So in the Miami event, like we were talking a little bit before here, we're not going to go over specific decks because there's just too many, but look at this deck distribution. There were 14 in the top 32. I guess the numbers don't really add up. It's probably less than it's top 32. Yeah. 14 were Amber Steel, 12 were Ruby Amethyst, then the rest, 2 Emerald Steel. Okay. one Amber Sapphire, one Emerald Sapphire, one Amethyst Sapphire. I mean, I guess shout out to Sapphire.
Also, I just want to point out, like, because of Rockstar Stitch's artwork, he should like half of his body is in this little circle. Like, yeah, and it's like, good job.
Right. And then we have one Amber Ruby topping off the top 32. Yeah. So if you watched our first episode, Mark and I talked about how we felt it was in a really healthy state, that there were a lot of different decks that we felt like finally we were out of the Amber, Steel, Ruby, Amethyst lock. And we actually were able to expand and have a chance. And maybe that happens at certain locals and against certain people who don't necessarily know how to use Amber, Steel, or Ruby, Amethyst to the full extent. But
wait, buddy. But wait,
yeah.
wait. There's more. You want to know what's coming up? You want to set two.
Yeah, right.
Nah. There's no. The meta was like, "Hi, I'm the meta. How you doing? Like, would you like to play some meta?" No. You're gonna see so much chaos.
No.
And it's gonna be great. Yes.
There's just so much. So we're gonna get into that as well, and what we think is gonna change, if anything, or much at all. But yeah, just to round that out, it just goes to show, like, you have an event with, I think it was like 256 people who were at this event. Once you put these top tier decks into the hands of people who like really have refined their gameplay and have spent the time to learn how to really play against every individual type of deck, you really can see that the state of the game really hasn't been in a very healthy spot.
Yeah.
I mean, 14. I mean, that's crazy. What's that percent? 26 of 32. I mean, I don't know that kind of quick math.
If it was 15 out of 30, that'd be half. I mean,
that's 81.25. We'll just say 81%.
Just say, yeah, that's a lot.
81% was either Amber, Steel, and Ruby Amethyst, and the rest was just whatever. So shout out to the other people who made it. I mean, shoot, if it's that much of a difference and you're making it in as not one of those two colors, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, from other card games, rogue decks, anti-meta is a thing.
Sure.
And we have enough data now of knowing that Ruby Amethyst and Amber Steel, that's going to be your meta. I mean, I have a friend he plays Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's all he does. He does anti-meta, and he's like, all right, cool. I mean, if he goes against another rogue or anti-meta, okay, he has a rough time. He's in for a bad day. But if he goes against meta, he's like, cool, easy win.
Right. And that's what I feel like. So now going into some other stuff and how I've been playtesting. So the reason I switched again from the more mid-rangey, like original Ducky version of the deck with a couple different tweaks was because, like I said, I felt like I wasn't drawing what I needed against Ruby Amethyst. Like against everything else, I get like it was solid. And it won me most of the time. I mean, just the steel color in and of itself is just it's just a ridiculous color and can take care of a lot of different decks. But I just felt like against the Ruby Amethyst, which at the time too of the 1K, a huge portion there were some Amber Steels, but a huge portion of Ruby Amethyst is just like I never felt good about it. And so when I switched to the Rockstar version with that mechanic, being able to flood the board and get it early and put a lot of pressure on them, I felt way more confident, and from playing on Pixelborn, doing really, really well with it. And now there's another variation of the deck that I've transitioned to that I've seen at like there's the Lost Boys, if you guys know who they are, they're a big channel for Lorcana. They're like commentating. I don't know if they're really like, I think they're part of it. I don't know. It's called Apex Gaming. They're holding like a 2K qualifiers into a $5,000 like invitational tournament based on like who does well at the qualifiers. Right. And there's somebody who is playing a certain Amber Steel deck that I just like really love. That's a combination of the two. He always has like ink on board, so he can always get up to that the Surfer Stitch, and he always has cards in his hand like all the time, and he's always in such a good position. Like no matter what deck he's playing, I'm like, oh, he's got this. I mean, the player is definitely very efficient and very good. His name was like Kurt Spees, I think that's
Okay.
his name. Like he pulled off some incredible combos, and I would like pause the game, and I'd be like, because I watched it after the fact, so I'd pause. I'd be like, okay, based on this board, he should do this, this, and this. And like a lot of the times when he would do it, I'd be like, I'm a beast, you know. Yep, like it's like he heard me. But then there would be certain times where like I didn't really know, and then he pulled off. I'm like, there's no way he gets out of this, and he pulls off some combo and like completely wipes the opponent's board. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's the real deal. But it was such a nice like combo of the aggro and the mid range to where I feel like you have a good chance of winning regardless if you're playing Ruby Amethyst or if you're playing one of those aggro decks where you need to make sure you're getting like their high questing characters off the board.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, so that's that. Another thing I did was a draft. It was a 40-person draft at another place in Chicago, and
good old Chi-Town.
Yeah, it was a really well ran event. There was, I think, one thing in particular they could have done a little better. So for any organizers that are doing the same thing and are not doing like pre-registration for whatever reason, like I don't want to go into what I think about whether you should do pre-reg or not. I'm not an organizer. I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it. But if you're gonna
feel what you feel.
No, I really haven't thought about it. Like I don't want to say something right now without having given it like actual thought into what I'm saying, and then I'm like, well, now what I said on there I don't really agree with. So what I will say though is what I do think is if you're gonna do a non-pre-registered event for whatever reason you decide to do, based on experience from that, I would just say one thing they did really good is anyone who showed up, they gave like a little diamond. That's what they chose. You could do whatever item you want to, but you just give it to somebody so that if they need to like leave, come back and do something, whatever, they know that they secured their spot. If it's cold, they don't have to sit out in the cold and wait in a huge line or whatever. You know you've secured your spot. And when you go in, the first come first serve are the people that have like that little diamond, so they know those are like the first 40 people. The only thing I would say that was unfortunate is they probably should have waited until they got all 40, or they should have just let everyone in as soon as the registration started, which was 10, but they let us in a little earlier, which caused for people who were like rushing in to just kind of be sporadic, and that wasn't as organized. And so a couple people that I know who were under the impression that like registration and all that wasn't actually gonna start until 10, like they live further, so they drove like however long, I think it was like 50 minutes or an hour or whatever to go there, to then get there at 10 when pre-registration said it was, and then to be like they were literally the next two people that they weren't able to get in. So that's the only thing I would say. Aside from that, they did like an incredible job running it. It was an incredibly nice place. It's called Dice Dojo. So if you want to look up that spot, they also have an incredible array of board games. So if you're a fan of board games, I've never seen a place with as many board games as them. It's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. They got everything. They have every board game, I would imagine, at least. It was crazy. And then they have a really nice space to play the board games if you want, or if you play Lorcana, like whatever. Anyway, so that was kind of my last couple weeks. I've obviously gone to locals. At the draft, I went 3-0. So I did do that.
That's the thing.
I mean, I would have liked to win some money, but I mean, I got a pack per win, so that was cool.
That works.
That's good.
That
but then, you want to know actually a funny story too?
Sure.
So I was in, the pot of 8 while we're doing the draft. If you guys don't know what draft is, I'm actually working on coming out with a video on what draft is, why it's so awesome, and how to maybe play to win if you want to play to win, like in draft, instead of just collecting. But someone, like, it took 2 or 3 passes down to me, and I so you know how it works. Have you done draft in like Magic or anything? So
I've drafted Magic, and
Okay, so you take 1 card, pass it down, right? So in case anyone doesn't know, you get a pack. You get 4 packs. Everybody, you're in a pot of 8 people sitting around. You get 4 packs each. You open 1 pack at a time. You take 1 card out of the pack. You pass it down to your left or to your right, whichever it is. And then same thing, it goes on. The person to your right passes it to you. You take 1 card out of that. You put it, and essentially you're trying to make a 40 card deck of any color, any cards that you want, and then you're gonna play with that deck against other people who drafted. So anyway, so you would imagine like a card like Rapunzel wouldn't get to you after 2 or 3 turns. You would think that's the first thing someone pulls. But
most of the time, yeah.
And so, yeah, right. And aside from you pulling like an Enchanted or like an Elsa or whatever, but I mean, you might still even want a Rapunzel. Who knows? But yeah, like 3 people passed it down to me, and I had a Rapunzel in my hand. I'm like, what is going on here? And in the same pack, a Cusco was in too. I was like, wait a minute.
Okay.
So that was wild. I chose the Rapunzel, but yeah. All right.
That tracks. That's the correct decision.
So anyway, that was a lot of me. I was talking a lot, so I'm gonna have you start off this next topic. Sorry, I know it's since you've been busy, you haven't been able to pitch in there since you weren't able to go around as much. So I want to see what you have an idea of, or what your thoughts. Can I talk today? I've talked too much. What are your thoughts on where you think the meta is heading for Rise of the Floodborn in this next set? Do you think it's going to kind of stay the same, maybe enhance certain decks today, or do you think it's going to completely shift? What do you think?
It's going to completely shift. I'm going to name spoiled cards because I'm all the hype. I want the smoke. I'm from Detroit. I want the smoke. I'm going to give the smoke. I'm like White Castles.
Sure, right.
All right, so next set. We saw the early Cinderella spoiler, and that was pretty top tier. That was okay. Cinderella said, "You know what? I got smoke." So I was pretty hyped for that. However, within the last week and a half, whatever, they've been spoiling more cards, and they're all Sword in the Stones themed. And my favorite Disney movie is Sword in the Stone, so I am biased, but get on my level.
Right.
Right now, the mechanics they're using are really good. So I'll do 2 cards because we'll talk about a lot of them as it is. But like 2 cards I'm really excited for. Arthur, he's a 3-drop, uninkable, which you should have made him inkable. Come on, like fine, whatever. He's a 1/3 with 1 lore. His ability is Student. Whenever this character quests, you may return another chosen character of yours to your hand to gain 2 lore.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a potential 4 or 5 lore just off of 1 card. So, anyways, on top of that, the other one, and I'm not usually a villain fan. I'm just not that guy. I don't really care for villains, but
sure.
Now the Mana Mim Purple Dragon.
Oh,
straight up, that was. I saw that. I was like, you know what? Fine. We gonna play Amethyst. We gonna be toxic.
Right.
So she is Mana Mim Purple Dragon. She's a 7-drop, inkable, which thank you. 5/7, evasive. Oh, she just said, "I'm a giant purple dragon. Come at me!" Oh, she's 4 lore, which I'm like, finally some top tier.
Yeah, right. Then, someone other than Mickey.
Yep, exactly. But Mickey ain't got nothing. So her ability is, I win. When you play this character, banish her or return another 2 chosen characters of yours to your hand. Now, okay, that can be tough. That can be rough. But wait. Come here. Get a little bit closer.
Oh, not the TikTok guy.
So there's a Merlin card. Let me find it real quick. Where when you return to your hand, let's see here. Yes. It's Merlin Goat. He's a 4-drop.
Merlin Goat?
Yep. He's a goat. Okay. In the movie, he turns into one. So
okay.
He's a 4-drop, 4 inkable, 4/3, 1 lore. The ability, Here I Come. When you play this character and when he leaves play, gain 1 lore. So if you got him out there with something else that's cheap, cast Mim, you're getting your lore anyways. So like it's got synergy. That's why I'm excited for Rise of the Floodborn, because of all these Sword and Stone cards. However, they've done a lot. Like I feel like this next meta, it's gonna shift from I mean, Amber Steel. Steel is getting more support. Just right up there, like, hey, we heard you like Steel. Would you like some more Steel?
Sure.
But with all these Steel cards, they're making it so. All right, hey, it's still a top tier deck, but we're gonna see innovation happen a lot because it's not just gonna be Amber Steel. It's gonna be Steel with everything. I could see Amethyst Steel. I could see what's green Emerald. I can see Emerald Steel easy, and I'm happy for it because that shows one the creator or creators really get that you need a lot of cards to really have a healthy game state. Like, you need enough to like. You're gonna have antimatter. You're gonna have rogue. You're gonna have. You know what? This is a top tier deck, but it's at like tier 1.5 versus 1.
Sure.
You know, and the last card I'll talk about because I just
sure. Yeah.
It's all the smoke. It's Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard.
Oh, I mean, come on. I mean, come on.
I would not. This Pooh has become one with his honey. You want to walk up to a wizard, a bear wizard? Nah, I ain't about that life. But he is a 5 inkable, a 5-drop, 5/5 for 2 lore. That's smoke right there. He's just like, that's fine. I may not do 15 lore and have a cool ability, but you know what? I'm gonna smack you around.
Right, and I mean, come on, the artwork, like.
Oh no, the artwork is all. Okay,
I want that mat.
Hold up. Before I'm going to say this because I feel like this should be said.
Okay.
If they don't, if they don't do this for the playmats, support Lorcana, support buying their playmats. I agree. However, there is a semicolon here. Getting an image similar to that, pay an artist to do something similar. Don't just rip it. There are places that will do foil playmats, and that would look amazing as a foil playmat.
Really?
Oh, no,
that's
100%.
Sick.
There are places that will do foil playmats. So it's called spot foiling, and there's so many places on that card that can be a spot foil for a playmat. So again, support Lorcana, support images, blah blah blah. But like, a foil playmat. I don't need any more playmats. I'd buy it as a foil playmat.
That's sick. I mean, so to go over what you went over, I mean, yeah, so we went over the mat. I mean, I gotta get that mat. That mat's sick. And if there's somewhere that does a foil mat, like you said, I mean, game over. I mean, man, just eat at my pockets, I guess. But so I've heard mixed opinions on the Madam Mim, and I'm gonna pull that up again here. Sorry if I'm not looking into the camera a lot, guys. I'm trying to be the producer of the show at the same time. So I'm like pulling up the cards.
While you're looking at Madam Mim up, there is one more because Merlin's my jam. All right? Okay. It's Amethyst as well. It's a 4-drop, 1/5. This is where I was like, I'm not sure about this.
Okay.
It's a 1 lore, but Battle of Wits. Whenever one of your other characters is returned to your hand from play, this character gets +1 this turn. Sorry, +1 lore this turn.
It's a 4-drop, 1/5 Merlin. Yep. And
it's inkable. So like, hey, if you use Arthur's effect, if you turn something else back to your hand, there's ways to get lore. They're really going for like, hey, you want lore? Have some lore.
Right. And so going back to Mim here, so I have them. Her, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yep.
Madam. I mean, I guess. I mean, hey, it's 2023. Yeah. But
Purple Dragon.
So, I've heard mixed opinions on this, and I want to go over what I think on this because when I first saw this, I wasn't too sure because I was like, okay, 7 is a lot, but it is inkable, which is good. 5/7 is great. Questing for 4, phenomenal. Evasive, phenomenal. It's less than Mickey, right? So it's a less cost than Mickey evasive that quests for 4 and is stronger as far as like willpower, has more defense. But the ability that I've heard people be not so sure about, where you have to bounce two cards of yours to your hand. So specifically yours, you can't choose your opponents. That would be even crazy.
If you could do that, that would be so broken. That would just be like, all right, yeah, cool.
It would be banned immediately. People would be like, what? You guys are drunk? But yeah, so I personally think it's still good within the realms of this deck. Like if you were to put it into the Ruby Amethyst of today, I don't think it'd be great just because it's I mean it could be good because like you have an Elsa on board, maybe they have a full board on there that you need to take care of, so you bounce an Elsa, you throw the Elsa back, get to freeze 2 again. But I don't think you would really use this card in that deck just because it's already so many high lore characters, and especially when you're playing something aggro, this isn't gonna really help with that. So I mean, you may add it to something like that. I don't know. Maybe but you already have Mickey at 8 that quests for 4 and is evasive. Do you really want to have to bounce 2 of your own cards to your hand?
True.
But I think in the idea of the actual bounce deck, which in Amethyst, if you build a deck around bouncing, like I think this is gonna be a great card, like phenomenal card, because you're already doing that. And I'm thinking on the opposite end, how are you gonna beat this bounce deck? I think the deck that's gonna be strong is Emerald Amethyst with the bouncing features.
Yes.
And how do you? I mean, Steel, like go ahead and use your grab your swords, but I just bounced a character or 2 back to my hand so that I could gain lore, and I'm just gonna play him again next turn and do the bounce effects. That's how I'm gonna gain my lore. I mean, I guess that becomes a thing of like you don't have presence on the board, so you can't attack what other people have. But I mean, let's say in an instance where you're pretty good, like pretty far ahead in lore, you can just bounce your stuff. Again, like you could utilize the other effects on these other cards that gain you lore when you bounce things, and you don't even have to have a board state, and you just keep so you can't get rid of it as an opponent. You just have to pass it on. You know they're gonna play a card. Oh, boom, gain a lore. Okay, play another card that bounces that card. Okay, boom, gain another lore. Like,
yep.
I mean, and then what's the spellcaster book? I'm gonna bring that up right now. Isn't that one where you literally just tap it to gain a lore?
Yeah, you tap to gain lore. Plus, on top of all that, you're talking about I'm glad you said Emerald Amethyst because you gotta mention Belle.
Yeah.
That 5, yeah, she's a 5-drop uninkable. Okay, sue us. Don't sue us, but still, you can shift her for 3.
I have a hot take on this though, so go ahead and finish your thought.
No,
I have a hot take.
I mean, she gets challenged. They're discarding their cards.
Their entire hand.
And if you can control the board state at that point. So that was my take. Go for it.
Yeah. So my hot take is that this card's overrated.
What?
Yeah, so
wait, what?
so listen. Okay, so just in case people don't know, I'm just gonna read the card. So it's a 5-drop uninkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower. It can shift on 3, so you can play on 3. And then the ability is whenever this character is challenged, the challenging character's player discards all cards in their hand and it quests for 3. So essentially Flynn Rider on a million steroids. So you would think, well, Flynn Rider's great. Like it's already a great card. Like, and it's a 1/2, and now this is a 3/3, and that quests for 2. This quests for 3. That discards 1 card from their hand. This discards their entire hand. So again, I think at face value, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is an insane card. But then you think of all the ways that you can get rid of it. So sure, you can shift on 3, quest for 1. I mean, it's gone on a smash. It's done for. It's just like that. It's gone. So
it does have its drawbacks. Yep. I don't disagree with you.
Grab your swords. You can get rid of it. Yeah, you need 2 of them, but you play a tink, you grab your sword. So if you and this card is contingent on like literally you playing it on turn 3. You play it on turn 5 and your opponent knows that you have the potential of having this. It's very easy to get rid of, and you're holding like cards to get rid of it along. And then also you have to choose like this or Cusco. Like, would you rather have this? Where, I mean, I guess in the same rate, like they kind of do the same thing in the sense where like, if you attack them, you're penalized for it. So you really want to get them off the board. Only Cusco has ward, so you can't Dragonfire it, where this you can. But then also the drawback is if you have this late game, the effect doesn't matter if you have no cards in your hand already. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think when I say I think it's overrated, like I think that people I think it's overrated. That's what it is. Like I just think people think it's way, way, way better than it is. It's an incredible card. I do think it's a very, very good card. It's clearly an automatic play in Emerald decks. I just think there are ways around it it's annoying. It's annoying to get around it, but there are ways around it. It does hurt Ruby Amethyst.
What they're going to do for it though? Like,
sure.
How are they? Besides the 3-drop bell that's out there right now, that's just another like low drop bell. This is a wasted card in the way. As in, you've got unless you're going to play on top of the blue. And the thing is, at that point, you're committing to Sapphire Emerald because you have to do it that way. So unless they have like some type of low drop bell, this is
no. They're gonna have it. Have they not announced one? I thought they did.
Maybe.
Let me see. Look. I thought they did, but maybe they didn't. But if they didn't announce one, I'm almost positive that they're gonna have another Cinderella in likely Emerald. Oh, I think it was the Flynn Rider that I'm thinking of. They released a 1-drop Flynn Rider. But yeah, I don't think Bell. Okay. Yeah, no Bell yet. They announced at a low. Yeah, just the Flynn Rider. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think they will do, and I think it's like you play it. It's something you're gonna play no matter what in Emerald.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, where I think it's strongest is actually gonna be in Emerald Steel, which I want to talk about. I think Emerald Steel is gonna be a crazy deck with the resist mechanic. My thoughts on resist are, I think it's overpowered. If they don't have anything to combat it, I guess the bounce effects that we're seeing is going to be a way around it, because like, who cares? Like, you're not really going to be focused on attacking all that much. You're really going to be focused on bouncing and getting lore that way. But the resist mechanic, to any point of damage, it's reduced by whatever amount you have the resist. So, like we saw the Cinderella resist 2. Like, it's crazy to me that literally that Cinderella does not die to any. There's not a single card right now. There's not one card right now that can kill that card aside from Dragonfire by turn 5. Like, you can't play an aerial and sing grab your swords and sing grab your swords with anything else, and that, like, literally it does no damage to it. You can't play your Maui. You attack it, it does 2 less damage. So now instead of doing 6 damage, it does 4, and it has 5 willpower. So let me bring that up. Like, the way I like to explain it is that it's insane that you could play your entire play set of grab your swords and literally 0 damage is done to it. Like, when you put it into that kind of perspective, it's like, okay, well, this is insane. I almost feel like they should have limited it to, like, either, I don't know, action damage or just like challenge damage or once per turn. But yeah, resist is crazy. And now with Emerald Steel, you can combine all these crazy Emerald cards that there are with certain cards. Like, one card they released called Mouse Armor. And Mouse Armor, I think gives you, what is it, 1? Gives everyone 1 resist? Yeah. So now for some of these crazy cards, like Prince John, I want to pull up here. He has Ward. He's a 3-drop uninkable 1/2 that quests for 2. So it doesn't sound great off the rip, but whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. So imagine coupling this up with imagine a scenario. You have Prince John on the board, you have Bell on the board, the new Bell, and then you have I don't know if you know, I forgot the name of it. What's that card that gives another card reckless? I forget what the name of it.
It's in red, right?
No, it's a green. It's an action card. You play it has like Beast on it, I believe, a Gaston. But either way, it gives another card reckless. So imagine having a Prince John, having that Bell, your opponent having a character on the board, you quest with the Bell, so you gain 3, which is already good, just phenomenal. Then you give reckless to one of their cards. Now they have to find some way out of having to attack that Bell, because if they attack that Bell and you lose, let's say, 5 cards, now they just draw 5 off of that as well. And you can't banish this card. You can't like loot like Dragonfire this effect so that, you know, if you have to attack into the battle, it's not as bad as letting them draw the same amount of cards that you're losing. But I don't know. I just think I think it's gonna be an Emerald, Amethyst, Emerald, Steel world, and with some other 100%. Amethyst combinations with other card like combined. But yeah. So we're in for a treat.
It's gonna be and again, I really feel like the meta itself, it's every new release always changes the meta, like for any card game out there, no matter what. I mean, when you look at Magic, Lord of the Rings, they changed a lot for the Commander stuff out there. But like this shows that they understand that their player base. Hey, set 1 was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Set 2 is going to be phenomenal. Like we're just starting, but I feel like this is just going to keep on building.
Oh man.
Now, yes, there might be a crescendo or a peak where it hits that, and it's like, okay, well, where do we go from there?
Right.
It might hit that, but that's going to be in a couple years' time.
Sure.
You know, some people stated like, oh, give this game 2 years. This is, and I say this not to future proof anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's Disney.
Sure.
You have Pokemon who can print whatever they want for Pokemon characters. Mm-hmm. They just released their base set or whatever, and that's selling rather well.
Yeah.
Disney can put whatever they want on. You know, they have the money to do so.
Yeah.
And they want their money back. They also, it's in almost in a way, it's not about just the money with Disney. It's them saying, all right, this is what they're known for. As in, you've got the parks, you got Mickey Mouse, you've got all these different things that people associate Disney with. And now they're able to get not just the hardcore Disney fans, like, you know, I mean, you've got Marvel and Star Wars, all that jazz. So you got all them, right? You got all those people who want to be like, hey, it's Disney, like whatever.
Yeah.
Now there's a way to have a social gathering for Disney itself that's going to grab those people. And then on top of that, you got kids. All these kids are like, wait, kids love card games. I grew up playing card games. Like, hey, hold up. This is one way for them to grab. And yes, money is a thing, but this is about branding and brand loyalty in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've stated, they want to keep it all original Disney characters.
Yeah.
They have, 100 years? They're going to keep going for more than 2 years. You know what? I'm going to say it right now. October 23rd, 2023, we're going to see this game going past 2025.
Yeah. No, yeah. I definitely... The only thing is, again, and I don't want to get into a whole thing like we did, because we already went over it last week, but is the...
Right.
It's the product. Like, how... It's the amount of product that they have to give. I already seen someone post on the Lorcana group on Facebook today saying, like, their local scene has died due to lack of product. You know, and that could just be in his specific area. Who knows? Like, there's stores around me that aren't as high because they're not doing as much product. But then, like I said, there's a place tomorrow that holds events that last week they had 32 people. So there's gonna be stores that strive. There's gonna be stores that maybe don't. There's gonna be certain stores
100%.
and owners that just want the money, so they're gonna sell at double like they can, or triple online and not save as much product for events because they don't care as much, which I think is bad for the health of the game, and ultimately, it's not gonna make them the most money in the long run. The most money in the long run is gonna be getting the people in the stores and buying your product, building a loyal fan base that's gonna come back to your store, things like that, and so. So right now we're in a spot, and we talked about this actually last Wednesday with some of the people and what the events that we actually both go to, or not the events, but like the local league, you know what I'm talking about, on Wednesday. And we're going over, we really feel like if they don't get their act together by like set 4, it's going to be really, really, really hard to come back from the lack of product, just because you have a lot of people who this is their first TCG. They're getting into it because it's Disney, and it's thousands of dollars if you want to have. I shouldn't say that, not thousands necessarily, But if
you
want,
can play the game for $40.
No, you can play the game if you want.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
but a lot of these people want to open packs. They want to collect the full stuff. They don't want to go online and buy singles, and they don't want to pay $50-$60 for a card. They want to feel the enjoyment of pulling that card from a pack that they paid $6 for, like it's supposed to be. And regardless if you think like, oh well, that's how it is, or that when whatever, at the end of the day, prices are way too spiked at the moment because of the lack of product, and that's just going to simply turn people away. It is, especially the new people who are just doing this to test it out and see how it is. And then a lot of them are already kind of some of them are like in the game and they haven't played a TCG, so how are people going to be if I go to an event? Are they going to be nice people? Not, like, who knows? And then on top of that, they got to worry about not being able to find product or having to spend $300 for a box. Is just nuts.
Yeah, and with that being said, you have a good point about the local scene being friendly. I've been to 4 or 5 different places that play Lorcana.
Mm-hmm.
4 of them have a definite like, "Hey, we're all happy to see you. Come on in. How are you? Is this your first seat? There's the camaraderie. There's the, this is your first TCG ever. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let us help you ease into this experience. Here's your deck box. Like, this is going to help the LGS no matter what. But like, here's what you need to get started. And most of them have a judge, and I'm a judge at one of them. I'm like, hey, you're a brand new player. Ask me if you have questions, please. I want you to understand the game.
Mm-hmm.
However, 4 out of 5, that 5th one was like, okay, I'm not going to name drop it, but it's like, all right, I definitely feel a vibe here, and it's not like I'm fine. Yeah. But the people who are brand new, like,
you can tell, it's not welcoming.
Is this what this is?
yeah, and I hate to see that, and the people that make the posts like that, where it's like, we went to this and had a really bad experience. Is it always like that? Is it like that everywhere? And I just want to shout through this. I would be like, oh man, no, like I come to some of these locals that I go to, and everyone is amazing and like willing to help, and just like are really nice people that just want to build this community and make sure everyone just enjoying their time, whether that means you want to be ultra competitive in play or you want to just be ultra casual in play. Like, there's room for both. And if you're an ultra competitive, I just please like if you're an ultra competitive player, you really just love playing this game for competitive, and you want to play the best competition. Like, if someone comes to the event, like, who's not at that level, who wants to maybe do more casual, or they're newer, like, trust me, like, those people will find the spots that are more casual. At least give them the nice experience that time. Like, they're going to play these other decks. They're going to have their starter deck. They're going to play these constructed decks that are going to destroy them. It's already going to put them in a position like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, I don't have anything that can compete. They're likely going to either, one, that's going to motivate them, and if they really want to do competitive, to get better cards and to compete, or they'll find somewhere a little more casual, but don't ruin the experience for them that time that they go there, because like, you're in a rush and you know exactly what you're going to do, and they're asking you questions. Like, you're gonna beat them, right? Like, you don't need to beat them in 20 minutes. Like, you can let them take their time. You can explain to them. Don't be a dick. You don't have to like 100%. Literally go through like you don't have to beat yourself by telling them exactly what to do to you, but give them the avenues of like, for example, I was playing someone who is new, who would sometimes ask me like, I'm gonna do this. Do you think I should do that? What do you think? Is that smart? Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. And I just be like this. Like, these are your options. Maybe you want to attack into this because you don't want this here. Maybe you want to quest. But then that leaves you vulnerable. So is it worth it to you? Do you think it's worth it to you to leave this thing vulnerable? Like, do you think ultimately getting the lore is better than attacking me? Like, it would be, sure, it's one thing, you don't want someone to just be like, well, what should I do right now that I'm gonna beat you? Like don't be that person either. Like, if you're learning, don't be that person either. But like, if you want to ask for help, like, I think this is good, like, what are my options? Do you think, like, what? Or someone the other day did something for me. He's like, I'm gonna do this thing, you tell me after what you would have done. Like, that's perfectly fine too, and you're learning. Like, we're not playing for $1 million. Like, you can go ahead and tell the other person what you think they should have done so that they can learn. So the next time they're put in that position in a certain game, then they can think about that thing last time and then maybe play better next. And if you're just so ultra competitive that you like just never want this person to be good enough to beat you, like I don't know what to say. Like you probably just should not be playing TCG. Either that or only play with your friends that literally are sore losers. I mean, because you're gonna find that people that just literally cannot take a loss for the life of them. And
I mean,
you know,
this past Sunday I was at my local league, and it's unfortunately there wasn't enough people there, but I still play with the people that came, and it's like, all right, um, one guy is a father, he brought his sons there, and the youngest son was like, all right, let's play, and I'm like, all right, cool, and so he's just like, his cards are all misshuffled, he's like, all right, and putting a card, I'm like, hey, explaining what your card is, you know, again, trying to show him how to play the game, and his dad's getting his literal first game in. He's like, "Hey, what does this do?" I'm like, "Oh, cool. Let me help you." You know, so it's definitely you're right though. Finding the right mix to play with, because I mean, I feel like the community out there wants to play games. It's just finding the right spots to go to for that.
And it's as simple as just calling the spots that you're thinking of going to. Maybe there's 2 or 3 places kind of around that you're willing to drive to. If you're more of a competitive person, give them a call. Hey, I saw that you have a league, you know, or maybe you don't know. Do you have Lorcana? I saw on your website, whatever, that you hold Lorcana. Like, what kind of format is it? You know, is it more casual, more competitive? You know, what do you do? If you want casual, you know, is it more casual? Is it more, you know, a lot of people that go there, do they have crazy decks is it really just like super competitive? And that's what happens. Yeah, exactly. Like be honest. Like there's no problem like with them. Like and everyone understands. There's gonna be people that want to play with their favorite Disney characters, which might mean that they're not necessarily the greatest decks, and so they just want to have fun, have that casual experience, play with their favorite characters, enjoy the game for what it is, and not have to worry about like being super sweaty and someone rushing them through their turn. Like, so just give the call to your local game store and just ask them, you know, and they'll tell you straight up, you know, this is a casual environment. We want everyone to just come here, have fun, enjoy, play each other. You know, over time you'll accumulate points, and that's when we'll hand out promos. You know, a lot of locals, at least in the Illinois area, they in order to sustain, you know, their base and to show gratitude to people that show up every week and are building this community, they might even do something a little extra. Maybe they have some promos left over and they're like, you know what, this week we're gonna give everyone a promo, whatever the case is. All it is really just calling. That's what I stress. So if you're new and you want to learn the game and you don't want to worry about having to be rushed through it or having people have like ultra competitive decks that they've paid a lot of money for that you weren't able to get, give a call ahead of time and just ask. That's it.
That is the best advice you can give out there.
Yep. And again, don't be afraid of like, no one's gonna judge you, because ultimately, the store owners want you to go there, but they also, at least a lot of the store owners that I've talked to who are super excited about Lorcana, do not want people to be like afraid to play the game. So they'll be honest with you, you know, they don't want to, they're not going to tell you like, yeah, it's really casual. Then you get there and then you're playing like the Magic World champion who just came over with like his best deck to just slaughter you in 3 minutes. So
100%.
But so that's that anyway. That's in that kind of rant. So yeah, we went over, I went over kind of my experience in the 1K. Hopefully, you know, I'm going to go to this thing tomorrow. Hopefully I place well with the new deck that I kind of formed. We'll go over that next week. So I'll update you next week on how that goes. Cool. Hopefully good. Maybe I'll win the first game and drop and then just be like, yeah, well, you know, I won. I was busy. I mean, I would have kept winning. Who knows? But yeah, so I'll update on that. We went over, you know, how we think the meta is going to be for next. Is there anything else that you kind of have an idea of that you want to go over?
No, I think we covered quite a bit this time, and I feel like it's all pretty relevant because like until everything is actually released, spoiled, whatever, we won't really know. Like, because that we could be completely wrong. In the next by the time the next video is out with hey, everything got released and it's blue for whatever reason is exploded with with more card draw.
Sure, right, right, yeah. Literally these 60 or whatever 30 cards that they've actually shown and like released with all the information could be the worst cards in the game.
Yeah.
Not in the set. I mean, they're definitely not. But I mean, I'm sure there's just still a lot of very good cards that they have yet to release and to inform. And we didn't even go over some of the crazy ones like Beast that just readies every single time that damage is placed on another character, and it can quest every single time that damage is placed on another character. So hey, look out for the, what is it, Plasma Blaster? Is that what it's called?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Plasma Blaster. Just okay, ping, ping, ping. Okay, that's
Beast,
that's
quest, ping. Oh, quest, boom. Yeah, right. And then Hans, quest, get 2 more lore, boom, deal 1 bit of damage, ready, Beast, boom, quest, another 2. I think there's another card in here that does like 1 bit of damage. It's kind of like a low drop. It's a low drop card that does a bit of damage for something. I forget what exactly. But boom, there you go. Beast is readied up again. Quest again. What is that? Like 13, 14 lore on 3 cards?
And once, on 3 cards basically.
Like that's ridiculous.
That would be insane.
That's what I'm saying. Emerald Steel. Look out for that. But all right. So with all that being said, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you did, again, and also this should be a lot more consistent. Again, I'm available Mondays, Tuesdays, so we should be around this, we should be coming out with the videos, with the podcast every episode, the same time every week. Look out for them Wednesdays. I'm not too sure what time is the best time to drop them at the exact moment. So for now, just look out for Wednesdays in general, and when they drop, they drop. If you want like to know exactly when they release, obviously you could subscribe, you could hit the notification button anytime I drop a video. It will go ahead and it'll notify you, hopefully, as long as it works on YouTube. I know they love to make sure that doesn't work sometimes. But that with that being said, again, look out for that draft video I have. I'm going to try to come out with more videos. I know I've been lacking too on that, but you're here on my YouTube channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, JohnnieTCG or at JohnnieTCG, and then Mark Potter Plays on YouTube, Potter _plays on Twitch, which I'm pretty sure you're more consistent on Twitch, right? Yeah. So you'll find him more on there. So if you want to see more of Mark, follow him on the Twitch more specifically, and then and like you said, anything else? Nothing else? Is that it?
That's about it. Cool. So that being said, have a great one. We'll talk to you all soon.
Have a good one, guys. See ya.
Yep.